Morning, Mr. Haber.
Good morning.
What do you have on the menu today?
Prior to my marrying my wife, she had done some work as a look-alike for Linda Carter, Wonder Woman. There was an agency in LA that specialized in look-alikes for celebrities, and my wife had done a bunch of work for them. So we get married, and my wife could have her picture taken with every celebrity, but she had a picture of only one person in our house, and that was Rachel McLish, who was a female Miss Olympia, and she was a great fan of hers. I'm in Gold's Gym one day, and who's working out next to me but Rachel McLish with some man. And my wife at the time was pregnant. And I walked up to Rachel McLish and I said, Miss McLish, you don't know me, but I own a restaurant in town. And my wife is a great fan of yours. And you would do me an honor if you and your boyfriend would join us for dinner tonight at Melvin's restaurant. So she goes up to the front desk to check to see who I am, and they tell her I'm a legitimate guy, I have a restaurant in town, and like that. And she agrees to meet me with her boyfriend at the restaurant at 7 o'clock. I call up my wife and I said, I have a big surprise for you. Come to the restaurant at 7 o'clock tonight. And I am sitting with Rachel McLish and her boyfriend, and we're chatting, and my wife walks in, and Rachel's boyfriend turns white. And it looks like he's having a heart attack. And I said, his name is Ron. I said, Ron, are you okay? What's the matter? No. Anyway, to make a long story short, her boyfriend is a man named Ron Samuels. Today they are married. Ron Samuels was married to Linda Carter. And she threw him over, and he went through a very bad time till he found Rachel McLish. Well, across the room, looking at my wife, he thought it was Linda Carter, who coincidentally was pregnant at the same time. The end of the story is January 14th, 1988, at 12:21 in the morning, my wife gave birth to a child weighing exactly 7 pounds. On January 14th, 1988, 11 minutes later at 12:32 in the morning, Linda Carter gave birth to a child weighing exactly 7 pounds. The famous Hollywood columnist Army Archerd put in his column, talk about doing a good job as a double. And Rachel McLish and Ron Samuels have become friends of mine. I was very friendly with an actor by the name of Mark Lawrence. Mark Lawrence was the tough guy in all the movies. Nobody really knew his name, but everybody knew his face. He was a pockmarked gangster, been in many movies. And I really enjoyed Mark, and Mark really enjoyed me, and we became good friends. And one day Mark comes to me and says, Mel, how would you like to go to the Playboy Mansion with me next Friday night? They're showing a big fight. And I got all excited. I'm going to the Playboy Mansion. I can't believe it. I go home and I tell my wife I'm going to the Playboy Mansion. 2 o'clock in the morning, my wife wakes me up and said, you know, I got to tell you something. It really troubles me. You're going to the Playboy Mansion without me. And I said, well, why does it trouble you? And she said, well, how would you like it if I was going to the Playboy Mansion without you? And I thought about it, and I said, you know, you're right. And I went the next day and I called Mark Lawrence and said, Mark, I don't want to appear to be a baby, but it really bothers my wife and I understand it. And for a one-night trip, it's really not worth the aggravation. So I really have to cancel, and thank you very much for the invitation. Mark says, okay. He calls me back the next day and he says, you won't believe this, but Hugh Hefner said, you're welcome to bring your wife. He said, I never heard of that before, a guy bringing his wife to the Playboy Mansion. But Hefner said it's fine with him. I'm really excited. I go home and I said, Stephanie, you're allowed to come with me. She says, I don't want to go. I says, what? She says, I don't want to go. Okay, I'm going anyway. Comes Friday night, I get the hotel limousine, drive Mark Lawrence and I up to the Playboy Mansion. We go there. We have dinner. And it turns out the Playboy Mansion has what they call the flavor of the month, whoever's in the news. And my luck or bad luck was the flavor of the month was a guy named Bobbitt, whose wife cut off his penis and threw it in a parking lot somewhere or an empty lot, and they sewed it back on. He was the star of the night. Well, we have dinner. I look around. I get my picture taken with Hugh Hefner. which is shown here with Mark Lawrence. And I said to Mark, okay, let's go back to Palm Springs. And he said, they haven't shown the fight yet. I said, Mark, I came. I can say I was at the Playboy Mansion. I got my picture with Hefner. I don't want to spend the night here. I got a club that's busy and happening in Palm Springs. Let's go back. He says, you're crazy. And we drove back to Palm Springs.